Hello, and welcome back. You see, Jacinda has already made up her mind to walk away from Crimson, and honestly, I couldn't be happier for her. That job was supposed to be a step up. Michael went out of his way to help her land it after everything she'd been through, and on paper, it looked perfect. Better hours, better pay, a real chance to leave her old life behind. But anyone who's been watching as long as I have knows that better on paper doesn't always mean better for the heart. Jacinda never looked truly comfortable under Nina's roof. The tension between those two women has been simmering for weeks, and you could feel it building every time they shared a scene. Nina's been carrying the weight of everything happening with Willow, and it's only natural she'd start snapping at the people closest to her. Jacinda, bless her, tried to keep her head down and do the work, but I could see in her eyes that the sparkle was fading fast. She's not the kind of woman who thrives when she's walking on eggshells, and I respect her for recognizing that before it broke her spirit. That's what makes the latest development feel so right. Just as Jacinda decides Crimson isn't where she belongs, Kristina steps in with an offer that changes everything. Kristina herself is getting ready to leave Port Charles for medical school on the other side of the country, and she's been quietly looking for someone she trusts to take over Charlie's pub. The pub has always been more than just a bar. It's been a heartbeat of the town, a place where people go when they need to talk, to laugh, or sometimes just to feel like they're not alone. When Kristina reopened it, the place came alive again, and Jacinda was right there on opening night, singing her heart out on that little stage and looking happier than I've seen her in months. I remember thinking at the time, that girl belongs here. Turns out the writers were thinking the same thing. Kristina pulling Jacinda aside and offering her the keys to the pub is one of those perfect full-circle moments that General Hospital does so well. It's not just a job handover, it's a hand reaching out from one friend to another. These two women have grown close in ways I didn't expect, and even though the show teased something more romantic between them earlier, I think what we're seeing now is even sweeter, a deep, steady friendship that's going to help both of them move forward. Jacinda gets a fresh start in a place that already feels like home, surrounded by people who genuinely like her. Kristina gets peace of mind knowing the pub she loves will stay in good hands while she chases her dream of becoming a doctor. Molly has been such a steady rock for her sister, reminding her that she's stronger than her past mistakes, and I love how that quiet support is letting Kristina leave with her head held high. What I find so exciting is how this single decision ripples outward and creates brand new possibilities for Jacinda. She's no longer just surviving, she's stepping into something that could truly belong to her. I keep picturing her behind that bar, mixing drinks, listening to customers' stories, maybe even singing again on Friday nights. It feels like the kind of future she's earned after everything she's overcome. And let's be honest, after years of watching strong women in Port Charles fight for their place, it's wonderful to see one who's choosing her own path instead of letting circumstances choose for her. I've seen characters like her before, women who arrive with complicated pasts and quietly prove they have more heart than anyone gave them credit for, and Jacinda is quickly becoming one of my favorites in that long line. Of course, I can't help wondering what this means for the rest of the canvas. Will Nina feel a sting of regret when she realizes she's lost someone who could have been a real asset if things had been handled differently? Will Michael be surprised at how perfectly this solution fits? Or has he been hoping for it all along? And what about the pub itself? Will we see some familiar faces dropping in more often now that Jacinda is in charge? I have a feeling the place is going to feel warmer, more welcoming, and maybe even a little more lively. The writers have been smart to keep Charlie's pub alive instead of letting it fade into the background. It's one of those anchors that reminds us Port Charles is still a real community, not just a collection of mansions and corporate offices. Every time I sit down to watch the next episode, I feel that old familiar excitement bubbling up again. Will Jacinda say yes right away, or will she take a moment to let it sink in that this could be the change she's been praying for? How will she and Kristina say goodbye? Will there be tears, laughter, maybe one last song on the stage before Kristina packs her bags? Whatever happens, I know the show is setting us up for something special. These kinds of quiet, character-driven stories are what General Hospital has always done best, and they're exactly why I've stayed loyal for all these decades. I've watched enough storylines to know that not every new beginning stays smooth. There will probably be challenges ahead for Jacinda, just like there will be for Kristina out there in medical school. But that's part of the beauty of it. We get to watch these women grow, stumble, and rise again. And we cheer for them because we've come to care so deeply. Right now, the air in Port Charles feels charged with possibility. Jacinda standing at the threshold of Charlie's pub, ready to write the next chapter of her life, is the kind of hopeful, uplifting moment that keeps me coming back day after day. Jacinda has already decided to leave Crimson behind, and that choice alone felt like a breath of fresh air. But what's unfolding now, between her and Michael, is taking everything to a whole new level. And I can't stop thinking about how beautifully it ties everything together while promising the kind of heartfelt explosion that keeps this show alive. You see, as Jacinda prepares to step into the role Kristina is leaving behind at Charlie's pub, something unexpected has been blooming between her and Michael. It started quietly enough. Michael was the one who helped her land that job at Crimson in the first place, and he's been a steady, kind presence ever since. But lately, whenever they share a scene, there's a warmth in Jacinda's eyes that wasn't there before. I've watched her light up when he walks into the pub, the way she smiles just a little softer, the way she lingers after their conversations. It's not dramatic or over the top, it's real, the kind of slow-building affection that feels earned after everything she's been through. Michael has seen her at her most vulnerable, and instead of judging her past, he's supported her choices. That kind of quiet respect can turn into something much deeper, and I truly believe Jacinda is starting to feel it in her heart. She's no longer just grateful, she's drawn to him in a way that surprises even her. This new emotional development is creating what I can only describe as a fresh obsession in Port Charles, one that centers squarely on Jacinda herself. People are starting to notice. The way she and Michael interact has the whole town buzzing in that gentle, nosy way only a close-knit place like ours can manage. It's not the destructive kind of obsession we've seen in the past. This feels warmer, more hopeful, yet it carries that delicious tension that makes you wonder what will happen next. Jacinda is stepping into Kristina's shoes at the pub, and in doing so, she's inheriting more than just a business, she's inheriting a piece of the Corinthos family legacy. Kristina poured her heart into reopening Charlie's pub, turning it into a place of comfort and connection right before she heads off to medical school. By accepting the keys and the responsibility, Jacinda is carrying that torch forward, keeping the pub's spirit alive and well. And now, with these growing feelings for Michael, it's as if she's being gently pulled even closer into the family circle Kristina is leaving behind. I love how the writers are letting this unfold naturally. Jacinda isn't chasing Michael. She's simply allowing herself to feel something genuine for the first time in a long while. Michael, for his part, seems genuinely happy whenever he's around her, especially after seeing how joyful she was on the pub's reopening night. Remember how she got up on that little stage and sang with such pure delight? That moment wasn't just about the music, it was about finding a place where she could be herself. Now that same place is becoming the backdrop for something even more meaningful between her and Michael. It's almost poetic. Kristina's departure is bittersweet, of course. We've watched her grow and struggle, and Molly has been such a loving support, encouraging her big sister every step of the way. But by handing the pub to Jacinda and, in a way, opening the door for this new connection with Michael, Kristina is leaving behind a legacy of second chances and quiet strength. Jacinda is honoring that legacy every single day she stands behind that bar. And her feelings for Michael only make the whole story feel richer and more layered. What excites me most is how this is setting up a wonderful new explosion of storylines. We've seen plenty of romances in Port Charles over the decades, but this one feels different because it's built on friendship, respect, and shared growth, rather than just fireworks and secrets. Will Jacinda's affection for Michael grow stronger as she settles into her new role at the pub? I think so, And I have a feeling the writers are going to let us savor every small moment. The shared glances across the room, the late-night conversations after closing, the way Michael might start showing up more often just to check on her. At the same time, this new chapter is bound to ripple outward. Nina has been under so much pressure lately, and she might not take kindly to seeing Jacinda find happiness so close to the Corinthos family. Then there's the rest of the town, old friends dropping by the pub, curious about the new owner and the subtle spark everyone can sense between her and Michael. It's the kind of slow-burn drama that General Hospital does better than anyone, the sort that keeps you coming back because you genuinely care about these people. I've seen enough storylines to know that not every new romance runs smoothly, and that's perfectly all right with me. What matters is that Jacinda is finally in a position where she can choose her own happiness instead of simply surviving. By taking over Charlie's pub, she's continuing the warm, welcoming tradition Kristina built, and by opening her heart to Michael, she's writing an entirely new page in her own story. It feels like the show is reminding us that life in Port Charles can still surprise you with kindness and possibility, even after all the storms we've weathered together as viewers. I keep asking myself, how will this gentle romance affect the larger canvas? Will it bring the Corinthos family even closer, or will it create new challenges that test everyone involved? Either way, I trust the writers to handle it with the care and heart they've shown so far. Every afternoon, when I sit down to watch, I feel that familiar rush of anticipation. Jacinda's journey has become one of my favorite current threads, because it's equal parts hopeful and real. She's not just taking a job, she's stepping into a future that includes real connection, real purpose, and now the sweet possibility of love with Michael. Kristina's legacy lives on through the pub and through the way Jacinda is embracing the chance to belong. And that, my friends, is the kind of storytelling that still makes my heart beat a little faster after all these years. The air in Port Charles feels charged with something wonderful right now, and I cannot wait to see how this beautiful new chapter unfolds. Whatever comes next, whether it's a quiet moment of confession, a supportive hand on the shoulder, or the first hints of deeper feelings blooming in plain sight, I'll be right here, cheering Jacinda on and soaking up every minute of this fresh, heartfelt explosion of story. General Hospital has given us so many gifts over the decades, but this one feels especially warm and promising, and I'm grateful to be sharing it with all of you who love the show just as much as I do.